sometimes those time zones kind of messes up.
Oh yeah, I'm so used to Pacific time because I grew up in Oregon, and so I'm used to Pacific Standard Time. And I understand the time zones from there, but right now I'm in Mountain Time, and I always get Mountain Time and Central Time mixed up. Central Time
Mm,
is like an hour ahead of me right now, so I don't know. It's all confusing.
well, you do well. I get well. Judging by your pictures, I think you are a fan of the mountains.
Oh yes, I do. I do love the mountains. I'm a big fan of that. So
Okay.
sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. My husband should be doing crowd control.
So hey, you gotta have company, you know.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
helps.
And small space, so it's always there's always noise happening.
Um, but overall, are you having a good day so far?
I am. Thanks for asking. How are you doing, Phil?
Funny thing is, I don't know if you heard about this. Do you know about Funko Pops by any chance?
Yeah, I
Like
do. Yeah.
these right here.
Yeah. Yep.
So thing is, the GameStop in Savannah called me and said they had it available. But when I saw the pop, I was like, oh wait, it doesn't drop until March 22nd. I had the pop figure already, but they can't release it until March 22nd. Like they couldn't give it to me until they would have the
Oh,
release
that's
date.
frustrating.
And I was like, what? That is so evil. Like I was ready to purchase the thing and go on home. It's the Arkham Knight pop figure. Thing is, he
Oh,
has
okay.
it's with him and the Bat Signal this time. Because
Got
thing is, last fall I got the Arkham City pop figure.
it. Okay.
So I was like, when they dropped that new one, I was like, I guess my Arkham collection isn't complete.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then now you gotta wait. That sucks.
No, so I got to suffer a few more weeks so I can have it.
That's a bummer.
So, but it is what. But overall, I'm having a good day.
Awesome.
So this it was just one little mishap. It happens, and plus the people at GameStop they know me very well because I'm the regular.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'll try to make sure this thing is centered. Well, if all the small talk is over, I guess we can go ahead and get this underway.
All right. Sounds good.
So nice to meet you. So my name is Phil. I'm the host of the Conversation Podcast. Glad it's Friday. Always glad it's Friday. And I have a special guest with me here today. Introduce yourself. Who's Hannah Rivera I'm speaking to this Friday?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. I'm 26 years old and I'm a traveling artist.
Yep.
And yeah, so I've been traveling. I've been traveling for how long have I been traveling now? I think April. April is going to be a year on the road. So we're pretty close to a year, which is pretty cool. But I am a full-time artist. I do bug art. So I do bug pinning. It's kind of an oddities niche, and then I combined my bug pinning with antique vessels. So I like to use like antique Victorian convex frames. And I use like planters, like old planters and candlestick bases and anything that I can find that I think will be interesting to turn into an art piece.
That's amazing. I've seen some of your pictures and they are very amazing.
Thank you.
So before we go ahead and get into it, let's go ahead and do a little bit of an icebreaker, okay?
Sure, sounds good.
So one question: have you ever if you ever decide, have you ever? I know you've been traveling across the country. Have you ever thought of at some point maybe take your artwork abroad?
I would love to. Me and my husband really actually just wanted to go to Brazil. Brazil's a top one for us. We'd love to go see South America. I've been to Mexico once. I would love to go back. And I would love to go to Europe too. I think Europe is a little bit farther away in terms of goals, but I would absolutely love to go to Europe and see Europe. We'd love to go to Japan. That's a big one for us.
I'm trying to go there too.
Yeah, I would love to go see Japan. And Thailand. I would love to be able to travel abroad. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, I actually had a discussion with somebody else this week. I think you saw. She actually her family's been in Vietnam for years. Like they grew up in Vietnam, and I was like, I wanted to check out Vietnam too.
Vietnam would be really, really cool. Yeah. And I have a lot of friends actually from the Philippines too. And the Philippines would be really cool to see. Portland is like a really big mecca for Filipinos. And I used to work with a lot of Filipinos. And it seems like such a cool place and a cool culture. I think it would be really awesome to go see it one day.
Okay, okay. Well, shoot. Well, hey, I can't wait to see what you do when you travel abroad. So it's a work in progress. I mean, we're all trying to get out of the country these days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I think that's
well,
the new American dream, right?
yes. So now that the ice is broken, let's go ahead and get into the main event. So I have 20 questions and I divide up into sections, okay?
Okay.
Just keep them organized. So let's start with section 1, artistic origins and rediscovering creativity.
All right.
Now, you originally started as a 2D artist working on acrylic and charcoal, spending much of your high school years immersed in the art room. Looking back now, what was it about creating art during that time that made you feel most alive? And how did those early experiences shape the creative instincts you still carry today?
That's cool. I've always been super artistic. Even when I was a little girl, I really loved to draw, and my family thought I was like super talented when I was young because I drew something more than like a stick figure, you know what I mean? And so I was really encouraged in my childhood to pursue art. My family would get me, you know, like the gifts. I think I remember getting, if you've ever seen those cases with like, it has like all the different types of mediums, like colored pencils and charcoals and really crappy paints. I used to get those like every year for Christmas. And I loved just color theory. And into when I got into high school, I went to Milwaukee High School in Portland, Oregon, and it's actually a really big art school. There's a charter school inside of Milwaukee High School that's called Milwaukee Academy of the Arts. I did not go to Milwaukee Academy of the Arts, but I was really heavily influenced by all the art kids. And we had my school was so cool. It was we had murals all over the place that previous high school students used to paint, and we had a giant amphitheater for drama and a ballet studio. It was really cool. So I spent a lot of my time in the art room, and I had an art teacher that really encouraged me in high school too. And it was cool because her name's Miss Mo. Shout out to Miss Mo. But she used to push me to try new mediums, and I think that really kind of helped me with my creativity because I started with just like regular pencil, and she was like, okay, we'll try charcoal. And then I was like, wow, I really love charcoal. And then she's like, well, try chalk pastels. And so she kind of kept pushing me into these new mediums, and so I was able to try everything, including like ceramics. I ended up doing ceramics for a while, and then I think that's kind of what helped me get into what I do now, because it's so mixed media, and I've been able to do so many different types of art forms that I love the mixed media and being able to put different things together. I think that's the best thing about being creative, is like being able to have this well-rounded experience of all different types of art mediums.
Wow, that's huge. I've seen I know so many people who just and listen, I was in some art class myself, well, I was on there because I had to be there.
Okay.
But I was paying attention to how some people who have a passion for art, they do all these kind of things. Because I know with art, you're basically like putting out your heart and soul and your own like feelings into this sort of project that you're doing. And same thing, because I know some people like to tell a story and that as well.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, I've seen so many like art galleries and the people who's done this art, and I was like, this is really amazing. How did you come up with this? I always ask them the questions. Thing is, so I'll tell you something. I'm based in Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah has a lot of good architectural and art history there. I think I did a documentary about the history of Savannah as well. But there also was, I don't know if you're familiar with SCAD, which is the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Oh,
so we have a lot of kids. We have a lot of people from across the globe who are coming here in the States to go to SCAD. Because there was also one in Hong Kong and Barcelona, but they're mostly coming this way because they want to put all their like time into doing artwork. But going back to you, I know you had to do like a lot of challenges to get to where you had to be today.
Yeah, I did.
So and listen, and Hannah, I know it's not easy, but you persevered.
Yes, yeah. It's been an interesting journey. And I mean, I do art full time now. But I did have like a 9 to 5, and it was really hard to pursue my art and stay creative when I was doing my 9 to 5, because like I just like my whole world was just going to work, you know. And so I kind of lost my creativity through that for a long time. And when you're in high school, you know, you're centered around what's going on in high school, and so art was really easy and accessible to me then. And then, you know, I kind of hit the ground running, and that I moved out of my parents' house at 17. And I got a job like immediately, and I just kind of I worked really, really hard over those years, and I worked like graveyard for many, many years, and I was working like 12-hour night shift, you know, 4 days a week. And so I was just like exhausted, and I didn't have really any time for my art. And like you have to like practice, you know, when you're having art, especially like 2-day art, like you really have to practice and do it every day to get really good at it. And I kind of lost that over the years, and I was pretty frustrated with myself and like the progress that I had lost. And so I kind of just gave up on it for a long time. Um, and then I ended up falling in love with like taxidermy. I love taxidermy as an art form. And I always people ask me all the time, like, why didn't you do like regular taxidermy instead of bug taxidermy? And I always say it's because my husband wouldn't allow me to do taxidermy in the house.
Oh.
He's like, absolutely not. You're not bringing the dead critters into the home. And which is fair. So we compromised. And so the bugs were like the next best thing. And I remember going to an Oddities show. It was the Oddities and Curiosities Expo in Portland. And I saw the type of work that I do now, and I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I love it. And I went 2 years in a row, and I bought a piece from like local artists 2 years in a row. And I was like, I feel like I could do this. And then I started doing it, and I just like hit the ground running, and I couldn't stop doing it.
Yeah, you know, some points you just gotta like get through a few stages where it's like, I want to do this, but there's something I gotta do first to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I will say this, you know, like me, my like, you know, if I can explain myself here too, you know, back then in college, I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. When I went to college, my first major was sports management,
Okay.
and I just realized, you know, like especially like doing like, you know, managing for like esports or something else. Like I realized it's not really what I wanted to do. So I had to think back and decide what exactly was it I really wanted to do. I'm used to like doing like videos and walkthroughs on YouTube. I think in 2019, you know, when almost the pandemic happened, COVID, I stayed and I started doing Twitch for a few
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to get back to it as well because I'm trying to multitask. When I got to like halfway through college, which was like my junior senior year, I switched to media production and journalism because I really like all this stuff that I see on TV. And it's like I want to try to get involved with it somehow and maybe like do like interviews. Because thing is, when I was in college, I did 3 documentaries.
Oh,
And I
cool.
was like, well, shoot, I guess I better you know, start doing like a talk series or something. And it's been going great so far. So I figured, hey, I found something that I like to do. I want to keep doing it. Now it may not be perfect overnight because it's going to take a while. And
It
plus,
does.
I went back to school to do cybersecurity. I already got my certificates for cybersecurity.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so you're kind of like doing a jack of all trades kind of thing, which is awesome. You're doing multiple things.
I think the lesson we all have to learn is that we have to have some sort of foundation to
Yeah.
keep funding all the cool stuff that we're doing.
That's very fair. Yeah, that's very fair. Man, I went to college too. I'm a college dropout. I didn't finish. I didn't get a degree.
I understand. College not for everybody.
No, it was not for me, but I went, and I originally wanted to be a law enforcement officer, which is actually really crazy. Crazy lore. Now I'm definitely like very like ACAB, which is, you know, such a different line, but I went to school for law enforcement in the beginning, and I spent my high school years. We had another charter school that we had access to called Sabin Schellenberg, and they gave you like career opportunities where you got to do like college classes based towards like trades specifically. So it was like law enforcement, there was fire service, there was agriculture and farming, cosmetology, and I did law enforcement. I was really hell-bent on being a police officer. I really wanted to do forensics specifically. And then I got to college and I was like, oh man, this sucks. I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I changed my degree and I decided I wanted to try to do an EMT. I wanted to be an EMT. And then I was like, I don't want to do an EMT either. And then I got into the vet field. I started working at an emergency vet hospital as a receptionist. And I really loved that. So I was like, I'll become a vet tech. And I just don't think school's for me. I think that's the biggest thing is I just couldn't finish anything that I started in school. It was just nothing that I really wanted to like just really see myself to the finish line about. So
I understand. You gotta do what's gonna make you happy because I know it wasn't easy, but you still managed to figure out how I'm gonna make this work for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I am. I ended up just working in the trades still. Ida, come here. Sorry, my dog's crying. I ended up working in the trades and I worked in manufacturing, and that's, kind of gave me my nest egg. And now I'm just traveling and doing my art at full time. And it's been doing okay. I mean, living in an RV is very challenging, but it's not as expensive as like living in a house, or living in the city or having a rent payment or anything like that. So we get by. But we spend a lot of time just out in the middle of nowhere.
like I said, you're making it work.
Yeah, well, that's where I kind of think like a lot of the creativity comes into, though, because like I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I'm really inspired by the elements in the mountains. Like you said, I love the mountains. I grew up in Oregon, and Oregon has Mount Hood. I have Mount Hood tattooed on my body, and right now I'm in New Mexico, and I have the Caballo mountain range, and I get to see it every day. And I love the mountains so much.
There you go. Those words. All right. Well, that was amazing. Let's go to the next question, shall we?
Yeah, no problem.
Now, I think you already answered this question, but let me go ahead. There was a period where life got busy and art slowly slipped away from you, as you discussed in the previous question. Many artists experience that moment where passion gets buried under responsibilities. What did that period feel like emotionally, and what was the moment when you realized you need to reconnect with your creative side again?
Oh man, that was a tough time. I mean, it was just such a grind. I just remember it being like a grind. There was a period where I just stopped touching like a pen and paper altogether. Because I used to like doodle at work. Like if it was slow, I would doodle or sketch. And then I got to the point where I just didn't even want to do that. And I just think I kind of lost like a version of myself a little bit, I think. And trying to like also conform to something that I wasn't throughout that time. And I was in my young 20s at the time. And I just wanted to like focus on career, and I wanted to focus on just getting a house and I was engaged, so I was going to get married, and I just wanted to like be like this perfect member of society that does like everything you're supposed to, right? You're supposed to rent a place, and then you're supposed to buy a house, and then you're supposed to go to your job, and you get married, and you have kids. And then over time I was just like, why are we doing that? Like, why do I have to do that? Why can't I just live my life and just travel and do what I love to do, which is art, and express myself through my art. And it really took some time. I think it took a lot of growth. Like I think it was a lot of growing to like get to the point of like not worrying about what other people think. I think that was a big thing in that time period, is I was just worried about like what my my family would say, if I was like, I'm going to quit my job and pursue art. Um, and so I was just like stuck, like not being myself and just grinding. And I was so miserable. It was just the worst. I think back in the 4 years that I owned my house and that time of that grind, and I just remember like being so like depressed, like just not myself. Because I was just trying to conform. So I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
That's great. That's great. Because I know it's hard to keep doing something you love doing, but then it's like I got something else to do. And it feels like it's like I had like my heart ripped out of my chest.
Yeah.
Like I love doing this kind of stuff, but I can't focus on the whole time because I got other things in life. And listen, life does get in the way sometimes. You got to prioritize everything. Like, like it's expensive and it's tough.
It is. And it's really hard because it's like, it really is like, the other thing I've noticed about like art too is like there's being an artist, you're like you're wanting to do what you want to do, and then there's also like you have to pay the bills, so sometimes you can't do what you want to do and you have to pay the bills, and that sucks, and I don't ever want to have to do that. And then it's like, well, are you going to eat? Because you kind of need to figure it out. You need to do what you don't want to do, and that's never a fun thing, but that's just kind of life, and you roll with it.
True. I've been having talks with my grandparents. My granddad was telling me about this, and he said this a lot of times since I've known him. There's an old saying that he always used to quote. He said, "People don't plan to fail; they fail to plan."
Yeah, that's a good one.
So he's been telling me that since day one. I'm still having some, setbacks, but I'm still learning how to navigate through all those and make it better.
I don't think that it ever gets easier. I think that life is going to hit you in ways that you least expect it over and over again, and you just kind of have to roll with it.
Well, think of it like this. It gets tolerable.
Yeah, tolerable, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely gets tolerable. So yeah, we can continue to keep like we're doing, but as long as we remember, we got to take care and do our priorities first.
For sure.
Next one. When someone rediscovers art after stepping away from it for years, the relationship with creativity often changes, and it does. How would you describe the difference between the artist you were back then and the artist you are now?
Man, that's a big one. Back then, I think that emotion always plays a part in art. I think that's a big thing. And I remember like my art back then was very it was very much a reflection of who I was. And I think the art now is who I want to be. I was a really tough kid. I was a troubled kid. I came from, a difficult home. My parents were divorced, and I had a lot of anger, and my art really reflected that. And if I were to pull some of my old stuff, you would see that it was like super dark and sad and angry. And now my work is so bright and brilliant colored and light. And I think that is definitely a reflection of like, back then I was so entrenched in like my anger and my sadness, and just like a kind of an angsty teenager. I was an angsty teenager. But now I kind of just look to art as like a freedom and a peace. And I think it's just a lot more love, and just the love of the work, like, and what I want to be as a person. Like, I just feel more free when I'm creating now. And it feels like more of a relaxation and escape instead of like dwelling into the pain.
Okay. Yeah, because I could tell like from experience, like some people will look back on what they did as they were kids, and now we look at ourselves as young adults, and I was like, phew, I've changed so much in these last few years. And it's like, where's the time go? Like, how have I evolved into the person I was today? Because I've done so much incredible work over the last few years, and it's like I probably need to go back to my my little self playbook. Let's see what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I know you had that same mindset. I need to see what my younger self did, so that way I'll know what to do better, so people can expect it and be like, "This is amazing. You did this when you were a kid." I gotta keep looking through my own sketchbooks.
I know. I don't know if I even have any of my old work anymore. I think that it's all, if I do have it, it's packed away somewhere. But it's a lot of growth. I think it's a lot of growth of who I am as a person, and also just like, skills, obviously, like from years and years and years of doing it. But it's just it's a lot lighter now. I think it's not so heavy.
So, well, hey, if you do manage to find it, maybe take a look in and see what you could do differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're almost at the end of this section. Then we'll be in section 2, okay?
Okay.
Your journey back into art didn't just earn you to painting, it led you into an entirely new medium and world. Now, what was the turning point where you realized your artistic path was going to evolve into something completely different?
Oh man, like I said, I went to Oddities Expo, and I've always been kind of alternative, and like I said, I loved taxidermy. And I had started to get into my art again at this point. Like I had started to do little sketching and painting. And I actually was really afraid of bugs when I first started this journey. I was really afraid of bugs. I didn't like anything flying at me. If I felt something crawling on me, I'd be like, "Oh my God!" Like,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And so, it's a very odd thing. And now I have like literally dead spiders sitting on my counter right now. But so it was a really weird thing, and I I just like, I don't know. I really don't know why I became so entranced in it. I just was like ready for something new, I suppose. Like I told you, I did a lot of mediums and in high school, and I had done, I feel like, everything. Like I was like, I'm not like a ceramics artist. I'm not a pencil artist. I'm not an oil artist. And I just didn't really know where I fit in, I guess, with my art and my artistic ability, because I knew that I was an artistic person, but I just never felt like my art was like what I wanted it to be, or good enough to like display to the public or anything like that. Like I didn't feel like mine was like good enough. And I just wanted to try something new. I also tried like fiber arts right before I got into bugs. I tried to learn how to crochet. I was horrible at it. I was absolutely horrible at it. And so like I felt like I just, like, again, I just gave up a bunch. And then I was just like, well, let me try. I got like a butterfly pinning kit on Etsy. And it's literally just like a block of styrofoam and some sewing pins and a pair of flat tweezers. And I got like 2 butterflies, and I tried it, and I wasn't horrible at it. I was a little shaky, and I kind of broke the butterflies a little bit, but I was like, this is kind of
Ooh.
cool. It's a little stressful, but like I'm digging it. I want to see where this can go. And I ended up finding some frames. I love antiquing. It's something that is a super big hobby of mine and has been for a long time. And those the Victorian frames that I use, the glass is convex, so it's kind of like a shadow box in a way. It's just a fancier shadow box, I suppose, because it's not so deep. It just has like the nice little bubble.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, I can pull one out right now and show you. Hold on.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
I just did this one recently, but so I just did this one recently, but it has
Wow.
this bubble on the glass, so you can kind of see the glass bevels out. And
Yeah, I can see it. It's cool.
yeah, it's like a regular picture frame, but then the glass just has like a little bit of a curve to it. And so I was like, you could fit, people did back in the day, they would put hair in it for like memorials, like Victorian, like a baby cutting their hair, they would like braid it and make it into art called Victorian hair art, if you ever want to look into that. But or like flowers, like people would put wedding bouquets in them or something like that. And I love them. I think they're so cool. They're not made anymore. They're too complicated to manufacture, so people don't make them. And I just thought it was like so cool to combine it. And it kind of just gives it that kind of alternative. like the Victorian Gothic kind of vibe. You know, people love that. There's definitely a niche for it, but I don't love to do like blacks. I saw everybody who was doing this kind of work was all like dark reds and blacks and Gothic. And I am like so bright and both, like I love pink. Pink is my favorite color. And so I do a lot of like really bright colors, and it's a little bit different. And I finally like started feeling like myself as an artist. Like I really was like, I think I'm pretty good at this, and I really enjoy it, and I'm having fun, and I'm like loving my work, you know, whereas like in the beginning, like I do a pencil sketch and I'm like, I don't love this, but like my end result, I started loving it. And so I think that's really the biggest thing for me, is that I just kind of found my niche. I found who I was as an artist, and I love to do it. I think I'm good at it.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh.
So, I sometimes I turn my microphone off on mute so I can let the person speak. So, but yeah, it's really amazing, you know, because listen, no offense, okay, I don't do bugs, okay, either.
That's
you know, it was kind of scary because you know, one time there was one that was crawling over my arm, and I was like,
well, and you're from Georgia, so you have some pretty big bugs out there.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do. Ew. And I was like, I don't do things that crawl or slither.
That's very fair. So it's a big deal for a lot of people. It was a big deal for me too. I remember the very first time I like touched a dead butterfly and during that pinning kit, and I was like kind of heebie-jeebie about it, where I'd like pick it up and drop it, and you know, then you have to like put the needle in it. It's like kind of a grody thing for people. The first time I did a really big bug, the white witch moth. I did a white witch moth, and their wingspan is, I think it's like, they can get up to like a 20-inch wingspan. So it's like, you know, that's a big moth.
Oh Lord.
And I touched one I took one out of the package for the very first time, and I was like gagging. I was like, I can't even do this. Like, how am I going to do this? And now I do spiders. I was like really, really not into arachnids at all. I hated scorpions and spiders, and now they're like my favorite thing to do. I love doing spiders and scorpions. I think I just like Pavloved myself. I gave myself exposure therapy over the past 2 years, and now I can like touch anything. It doesn't bother me anymore.
It doesn't, because you're still doing it. I was like, sometimes when I kill, sometimes when I see bugs, I just like kind of kill them. Like we had a mosquito that came in the house because we were grilling last night. We had to get him out there and kill it. I was like, because this thing, when he was dead, I was picking him up. I was like, if he so much as twitches, I'm out of here.
Hey, mosquitoes, I'll give it to you. I don't like mosquitoes either. I'll kill them. It's on site if I see a mosquito.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you have to learn how to deal with, you know, the fear of bugs to keep doing what you're doing. And that had to take at least a few. Like I think it took like a year for you to get under control.
Yeah, it did. I didn't touch a spider until I was like, I think a year and a half in. I had not done a spider yet. And then I just recently started doing spiders, and I did like a really big spider recently, and that like freaked me out so bad. And now I'm doing a commission to do 2 more of those. So I guess I'll just have to, I'll get used to it. It's going to get better and better.
I was saying, like, is it bad luck to kill spiders?
I don't know. I don't ever kill any spiders or bugs anymore. Like if I see a bug, other than mosquitoes, like I said, it's on site with mosquitoes. If I see a live bug, I'll leave it alone. One of my, I'm in a little tiny campsite right now.
Okay.
And we had a vinegaroon. Have you ever heard of those?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, so they're those nasty arachnids that spit vinegar at you. And we had one that was alive, and everybody was like, man, you should have saved it for Hannah. And I'm like, no, let him live. Like, go release him and let him go live his life. You know, I don't ever take from the wild populations. I only ever, if it's dead, I'll take it. Otherwise, I let them live their life and naturally pass before I'll take them.
Wow.
So I don't ever kill them.
Okay. Reason why I was saying, because I saw this thing. I was playing a game. It was Gears of War 3, and they
Oh
had to
yeah.
fight the. You know about that series?
Oh yeah, I used to love Gears when I was a young girl. When I was like 13, 14, I played all the Gears. I loved Gears of War. It was like my favorite.
Yeah. What happened was there's this scene in there where they were trying to get through the desert and they had to fight the mama corpser.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, oh, so that's where corpses come from. When a mommy
Yeah.
corpser and a daddy corpser love each other very much." Whoa, stay back, Bear. The only you see, sorry, I'm trying to get out of my thoughts. You said, "Whoa, be careful, Bear." It would think that the first thing it sees is its mother, and
Yeah.
then Marcus was like, "Hey, why don't the two of y'all shut the fuck up before we wake up its mother?"
No shit. Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what? It started attacking me, and then I killed it. And guess what? We woke up Mom.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then, Baron and Cole was like, is it bad luck to kill spiders or something? And they ain't spiders. It's bad luck we don't kill them.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a Gears of War thing or if it's a true thing. I don't ever kill him. I used to maybe that's karma. I used to, but not no
Well,
more.
I guess we'll find out if we kill another spider. Well, I guess we'll never know, but
Maybe. Let me know if you get one, you kill one. Let me know how your karma is the next couple of days.
I'll let you know. Oh, we're out of section 1 now. Now we're in section 2. The world of oddities and insect art.
All right.
Now, you mentioned being deeply fascinated with the world of oddities and curiosities. Now, what was it about that community and aesthetic that resonated with you on such a personal level?
Okay. So, like I said, I was a little bit of a troublemaker. I was kind of an angsty teen. So I was like, wear black and like kind of the punk rock kind of vibe. And so I always kind of leaned towards the aesthetic of what Oddities is, and like punk. I especially punk. I never got into like true goth like aesthetic, but definitely like punk aesthetic and what punk stands for, its political affiliations, its morals, and just the community. I feel like as a whole for Oddities, everybody's very accepting. Everybody's very kind, and it's a very come as you are community. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, as long as you are kind and you love people, then you're accepted. And I've always really loved that. And that, I loved that community and that vibe. And I remember going to Oddities and like other like punk shows or like rock shows. Like I went to like a Five Finger Death Punch concert when I was younger. Five Finger Death Punch and Shinedown. Shinedown was my favorite band when I was a teenager. And I remember going and like I was like this like 15-year-old girl, and I'm around all these big biker dudes in the mosh pit, and everybody's having a great time, and everybody's just so kind and so respectful, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you look like. It doesn't matter your age. Like, everybody's just there to like be a community. And I always really resonated with that. And that's how the Oddities community is, and how the taxidermy people are, and the people that do bug art, or people who make blood jewelry or stuff like that. Like, they're just all so incredibly accepting and kind and quirky, and they have stories. And I've always just really resonated with that.
Wait, they actually do blood necklaces, Julie?
Yeah, they do. So oh my gosh, I forget who does it, but at Oddities Expo, there's a person who will draw like your blood right then and there and make it into jewelry for you, like on site.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, for real. I've never done it, but I've seen it at the shows. It's pretty cool. And people love it. People get a kick out of it. Or like people who like turn ashes into jewelry. That's like another thing. And there's like bone jewelry is really big. Like, people make bones into jewelry, or like headpieces, like crowns. There's so many freaky, crazy stuff. I think Atlanta just passed. Atlanta just had an Oddities Expo. And I don't know if Savannah has one. but
Well,
if you
thing is, my hometown is trying to add more events here.
yeah. Yeah, I know Atlanta does it. I don't know if Savannah has one, but they go all over the
No,
place.
we don't have one.
They go all over. So,
Mm.
maybe one day they will.
Oh man, that's insane. They actually do stuff like that. Okay, I'll give you that's well, okay, it's Audi Expo. They got to do amazing, bizarre stuff you never
Oh
seen
yeah, the
before.
craziest of the craziest.
Yeah, so but yeah, it's nice that you get to be a part of those things. You get to interact with people. Like, listen, like if you've seen some of my posts, I've been to so many conventions and I've
Yeah,
interacted with so many people. I even went to a convention and a tattoo expo on the same weekend.
that's super cool. The tattoo expos are really big too, and tattoo artists fall into that oddities community too. They do. Like I used to go. In Portland, I was a part of a oddities. It was a smaller oddities market, but it was called Market for the Strange, and they had a setting every month. They would do a market, and we had a tattoo artist there. His name was Rob, and he's a good friend of mine. He's tattooed me, but he would just be slinging tattoos all day, and everybody else would be selling like bone art and bugs and stuff like that. So that's a big community aspect too. Like tattoo artists are really kind of part of that. Oddities, piercers, that kind of thing.
Mm. Even hairstylists too.
Oh yeah, alternative hairstylists. Yeah, if they do like the crazy razor cuts and stuff like that.
I need to keep going to all these events so I can keep paying attention. I need to keep doing that.
It's
Thing
fun.
is, I haven't been in the last one I went to was Savannah Animation and Ghost Tattoo Expo.
Mhm.
And to be honest, after that, I haven't been to any events in a while. Sure, I go to a few mini markets here and there, but I was like, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm trying to save up money for something even bigger when I start traveling later this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
I
but
come
yeah,
from an area that's Portland. Portland's like logo, like slogan is "Keep Portland Weird." So I grew up in that kind of environment. There's always something crazy going on in Portland, Oregon. Like
yeah.
so.
Yeah. And plus, yes, I'm doing a lot of amazing at home work. But yes, I will get back to going to another event soon.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, the interesting stuff. I need to start paying attention to more of these things. Um, Next one, inset pinning is both an artistic craft and a scientific process that requires patience, research, and precision. Now, when you first started learning it, what surprised you about the most about the process?
It's you have to have a really light hand. You have to have a really light hand. That's what I always tell people. If your hand is shaky, if you have a shaky hand, if you have a heavy hand, this is not the work for you. You can't do it. You have to be so incredibly delicate. Um, it's a lot more than just pinning a bug. You think you could just like stick a pin in it and move it into position. You can't. A lot of the time, they're dry. They go through like a rigor mortis kind of thing, and so they're dry, and you have to rehydrate the body before you pin it. And so you have to. I have like a little Rubbermaid like food container, and I set the bugs in there with a wet paper towel for a couple of days and let them soften up, and then I can pin them malleably. That was a big patience learning thing for me, and even now, like today, I'm kicking myself because I wanted to pin some more bugs this weekend, and I don't have anything in my hydration chamber right now, so I'm gonna have to wait. So I have to wait probably like 4 or 5 days before I can actually pin, because I didn't put anything in the chamber. So that's a
That
big thing.
sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is like it is very scientific, and there's specific like tools that are used for entomology and bug pinning. You don't need them. Like you don't need a fancy pinning board. You don't need entomology pins. You don't need, like a specific, very technical, expensive tweezer. Like a lot of my favorite ways to pin is literally just with a thick piece of styrofoam. I love using a piece of styrofoam. And my very first block was like a 3D printed block. And I actually don't like to use it. I much prefer a piece of styrofoam over that fancy block. And so that was really interesting, was like, it, you know, you don't really have to spend a lot of money to get into it. Like if you wanted to try it as a hobby, it's really easy and beginner friendly as far as like financially wise to get into it. The bugs can be quite expensive if you're buying it from like, you know, resellers. I found that, you know, obviously foraging outside for dead bugs is the best way to start pinning if you're like tight on a budget. But or like breeding. I spent the last couple of summers breeding moths, and that was like, you know, the best for practicing and the easiest financially to deal with. So I, you know, I when I first started, I was like, man, this is really expensive, but it doesn't have to be.
Right, right. And yeah, it's not like all that. Like, you know, if you're gonna be pinning all that stuff, it's gonna take a lot of dedication, steady hands, like you said. And
Getting
you
hands are
know,
big.
and you know, listen, I could never do that because one, I don't like bugs, and I do get nervous, and I can't do it. It's not my thing. But I'm glad that I know someone who does that stuff.
Yeah,
So it's amazing.
it's very fun, and I definitely have a light hand. My husband has tried pinning before. He tried to help me with pinning, and he doesn't have quite a heavy, you know, a light hand, and he has a bit of a heavy.
Mm.
He's like the thing for me. I can't help you with this, but
Yeah, and also sorry about, you know, trying to, like, you know, you were trying to do it, but I was like, oh, she can't do you said you don't have any in your hydration
no, I
cabinet, so
don't.
you gotta restock on a few supplies before you can do anything.
I
But yeah, some
do.
of those retailers who sell those kind of things, they are expensive because some of these are like rare bugs you can't find anywhere,
Yeah,
which
there. You
which
know,
makes sense.
well, and the worst thing about that too is like when you buy a $50 bug, and you're like, if I fuck this up, you know, like I'm gonna like that's $50 down the drain, you know, and so that's really nerve wracking, and you because you have like you just spent $50 on this bug, and now you got to pin it, and it has to be perfect. You can't break it. That's always really stress inducing. It's a little stressful.
Yeah, that part. Like once you like, it's like they say, you know, this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, once you mess it up, that's it. So you
Yeah,
got
there's no going back.
listen, you know, when I be buying my stuff, I be careful with it. Like, listen, when I started this whole thing, you know how much equipment I had to spend from Best Buy to get all
Oh
this
man,
stuff
I'm
and
sure.
Amazon? Because I think I almost spent like almost $1,000 last year.
Yeah, it's a lot to get set up, and I didn't make any headway on any of my work for the first 2 years of doing it because I just had to like build up supplies and like, you know, get a good
And
inventory going. And
I had to I had to work extra hours on my job to get the stuff that I needed.
yep, yep, that's
And
very
so
typical. Me too. All of my income from my day job, my 9 to 5, like went into Rivera's Rarities for a good while.
okay, okay. Well, at least we saved up that money to get what we needed. But yes,
Exactly.
whatever, like all those pinning and stuff, you know, you could do that. I can't do it. But and also, even there's always the pros and cons of you doing your artwork. I love doing it. It helps me showcase my work. But on the con side, you have to sacrifice a few dollars to get what you
Yep,
need.
absolutely.
So listen, whatever you're doing, there's always going to be that pro and con situation.
Oh yeah, and you have to spend money to make money, right? So that's always a thing too.
Yep. So I'm starting to learn the importance about that. If I got to sacrifice a few dollars to get what I need, I will do so.
Yep, absolutely. Me too.
So let's see. Next one. I think you might like this one. Okay.
All right.
Um, there's a quiet beauty in the symmetry, color, and fragility of insects. As someone who studies them closely through your art, what have these creatures taught you about nature, life, or even creativity?
Wow, that is a really good one, Phil. They're so beautiful. Bugs, like I said, I was really kind of like not digging them in the beginning. Like when I first started, I was like, "Ew, a bug," and like even a moth, you know. Like people think like moths are so ugly. I think they're actually just so gorgeous. It like nature and the way that all things are creation. I'm not a religious person, but it's just like the creation of nature and evolution and these animals and everything about the beauty of the insects. And like I just am always like out of breath and in awe of it, especially when you can see them like live. Like I saw in Joshua Tree, I was in Joshua Tree, California a couple weeks ago. What? Couple months ago now. Wow, time flies. I saw tarantula, and it was the first time I had seen like a live tarantula out in the wild, and I was just absolutely starstruck by it. And it's just like it's just a spider, you know, but the way that they move and the way that their hairs sit on their body and the sun reflects off of them, everything about it is just it's really beautiful. It makes you want to believe in like a god a little bit. Like I said, I'm not religious, but it's like how can something so beautiful like just exist, you know? It's just so awe-inspiring. They really just blow my mind. Like I'm just sitting here looking at these moths right now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like these moths here, they have these little spots on their wings. And these are called eye spots. They're to warn off predators to stop eating them. So
yeah, because if you look directly into eyes, and like if you really
yeah,
focus, and I've been looking every time you showed it, I'm focusing. I was like, those really do look like eyes, and I was like, I guess they have those because I've been doing a lot of research on these butterflies, and I'm like, they have these wings for a reason to scare off any predators.
Yeah,
To
they
make it
scare
feel
off
like
the predators with the eye spots. There's a bug, a moth, the Atlas moth. They are also called the cobra moth because when their wings are up, they look like a snake head. It looks like a snake sitting in the tree, and so it wards off predators. It's just the coolest thing. They're so cool.
wow. And with all that, you know, nature is like a peaceful place to be. Like I've encountered so many people on my adventures that really love nature. There's a friend of mine who we actually graduated from college together. She lives in New York now. She likes going out to all these dark places at night because she likes all these like certain areas. And it's like I was like, okay, she's a nature person. Like I've established that when we were in college together. She's very sweet person. You know, her name is Rachel Miltonberg. So she's been going out and going enjoying like forests and everything for like a long time. And it's really amazing.
It is. It's really cool. It's cool when you find a connection with it. And like, I think my husband too. My husband has been, you know, pretty outdoorsy person all his life, and he really doesn't like bugs. Like he's like, I don't like him. I don't want to touch him, you know? And like the first time I showed him, I remember I showed him a moth that I had like hatched from a cocoon. And I was holding it in front of his face and her wings were moving and he was just absolutely awestrucken by it. He was just like, they're so beautiful. Like this is the first time I've really seen just like how beautiful they are. They're really captivating.
Mhm. Yeah, and also, you know, sometimes, and guess what? Every Sunday, well, sometimes now I'm trying to make it a habit. You know, I go to work out. Like
Mhm.
I go to one of these parks. It's Triplet Park that's right down this way on 80, and it's really beautiful out there. The lake is amazing. I see a lot of turtles and swans out there.
Oh, I love
And
turtles.
you know, sometimes there's some alligators and snakes, but they live in those waters too. But yeah, I usually go to that park because I just like to. After a long week, I just want to get away from everything.
It's really peaceful to just sit and watch and just see like everything that's going on. It's like, you know, the world is never still. My husband was just telling me this the other day. Like the world feels still, but something's always moving. There's always something going on. The energy is always moving through Earth, and it's just something that's so cool when you put it into perspective, and it brings me a lot of peace.
Mhm. So I was thinking maybe I need to go to more parks like that. Maybe find some places in different cities, or maybe like I say, even different countries. They got a lot of nature, beautiful things out there.
Oh yeah, the culture too, like the different cultures that you see, even just from like East Coast to West Coast, there's different cultures. So to like be able to see the cultures from a whole different, country would be amazing, and the demographic and the things that revolve around their lifestyle and what makes them them. This is just so beautiful.
Well, you inspire me to broaden my horizons now.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
Thanks. Last question, and then we'll be in section 3. You also raised some of the moths that eventually become part of your artwork.
Mhm.
Now that adds an entirely different layer of connection to the piece. What is it like witnessing that full life cycle and then honoring it through art?
It's super, super cool. I the reason why I really wanted to breed is because, like I said, I don't like to kill my bugs. I like to use naturally passed specimens as much as I can. I don't
Hmm.
like to take from wild populations, because I want to be as sustainable as possible. So I started breeding because, for one, I had the means to at the time. I had the right food source for the moths in my in my yard, and also it would help me financially a little bit because, like I said, it's very expensive to buy moths. It can be like $20 a pop for a moth, and that's a lot. So it makes sense to breed your own, and I did a lot of research. I did so much research when I started to make sure that I wasn't gonna like kill off my, caterpillars or something right away. And man, it was the coolest experience to be able to watch them over the next like 3 months, like go from a little tiny egg to a whole moth. Well, they turn into a cocoon and then a moth, but they're so cool. It really just like it gave me a whole new sense of wonder. It really made me start to really love bugs more, being able to watch the process. Um, and they're just, man, they're fascinating. I loved doing my Luna moss when I did my Lunas 2 summers ago now. And I had like 70 caterpillars at once, and they just ate and ate and ate and ate. The hungry caterpillar story. It's very true.
Oh
They
yes,
never
that old book. I remember.
they never stop eating. And then it was just awesome to see them pass. They don't live very long at all. They only live from egg to cocoon. It's about a 2.5 to 3 month cycle, and then they are in their cocoons for like 1 to 2 months, and then they emerge as moths, and then they die like a week later because they don't eat anything in their moth stage. All of their nutrients they get as caterpillars. So their main objective as moths is to breed and lay eggs and then pass on. And to be able to watch them, just their instinct of like they crawl out of the cocoon and then they go find a mate, they lay their eggs, and then they die, and just seeing the life cycle was so cool. And then to just be able to tell my clients, like, these moths I hand raised myself. They came from a sustainable like place. They're naturally passed. I did not kill them prematurely. Like, all of that was just so wonderful. And it's the way that I really kind of wanted to move on and move forward with my work. I'm not fully there yet. I still use conservation farms for a lot of things, especially for commissions, which conservation farms do prematurely euthanize their bugs because they want them in pristine condition for science and for
Right.
technical purposes, for art. So they are prematurely euthanized. But I really try to not use like overseas conservational farming anymore. I try to work with US breeders like myself and buy from them, or I breed my own, or I find, if I find something out in the wilderness, I'll use it if it's passed. Like, I had a millipede in California that I found, and I pinned it and put it in a piece. And then I have friends that, like, I have a friend that's like super big into bugs too. He has like scorpions, and he had stick bugs, and he had leaf bugs, and so when his bugs pass, he'll give them to me. And so I think that's really cool about my work, is I really try to be so sustainable and I don't like to use ethical. I try to be sustainable because everybody's idea of ethics is different. So I try to be sustainable, and I try to not take from wild populations. And I think that's really cool that I can tell my clients that most of my work comes from a naturally passed specimen.
Yeah, and if I can add to this, because I've seen some people done so much, like, with bugs. They want to try to, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. when a bug is getting ready to die, they want to try to at least make sure they were sustained for a long time and not try to like kill the bugs instantly. Because I don't think that gains like any like values. Like I think it has to be something that has been done. Like they've lived a long life, and we want to. It's kind of like celebrating in the death of a loved one.
Yeah.
And I think that's in your case. You want to celebrate the bugs who passed away in your space in your RV and just give them like an honorable like death ceremony with the artwork. If I got this correctly.
Yeah, I think that there's something really beautiful about like death itself and the life cycle. I think it's really cool. I think that they're beautiful in of themselves, like especially moths. They become quite tattered when they live a full life cycle because their wings bang up against stuff as they fly. And so when you see a naturally passed specimen, they're never perfect. They either have like scale rub or their antennas are broken, or sometimes their wings are just absolutely mauled. And I think there's something beautiful about that in and of itself. And that's what I love to put in my art because it is a celebration of life. It's a celebration of the insect. It's a celebration of just beauty and like new life. And I say that in my bio too on Instagram. I say that I like to give my art represents new lives and new beginnings, and it definitely does with the antique frames. A lot of the time they end up in landfills or they just end up sitting and dry rotting, and I get to fix them up and put new purpose to them as I do with the bugs too. Like they've lived their life and served their purpose, and they can live on forever in art and be celebrated in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever you like, the way you guys have done, and I've seen, and also I think you show me some of your friends too who also do this sort of thing as well. They try to celebrate the bugs they collect in like the most respectable way possible. And I
Yeah,
think that's
absolutely.
what also makes the art also more powerful too when you show them at these conventions or all these events that you go to.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of misconception with like the oddities community and death and surrounding death. Like, a lot of it's kind of stigmatized, especially taxidermy is really stigmatized, and I don't see taxidermy as that way at all. I see taxidermy as a celebration of life and celebrating the beauty of the animal, and that's why I love it. It's preserving something that once lived and once roamed and once survived alongside you, and I think that's beautiful. And I think I would say all, I wouldn't even say most, I would say all of the people in the taxidermy community feel that way.
Mm, yeah. Well, hey, I think that's the way to do things, I say keep doing that. Let the bugs live their life to the fullest. And then when it's their time is up, try to like, honor their like, their death in a way in these honor their death in this artwork that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So, section 3 now. Section 3 is
Right.
vintage restoration and storytelling through art. Before we continue, are you enjoying our conversation so far?
Yes, absolutely. It's been awesome.
Just making sure. um, a defining part of your work is restoring vintage pieces that might otherwise be forgotten. Now, what is it about breathing new life into these objects that speaks to you as an artist?
I think that it's really cool. The biggest thing that I really enjoy about it is that every piece that I do is different from the last. Because I repurpose these materials. So nothing ever looks exactly the same. And that even comes down to not only the bug, but the flowers that I use as well. Like I can never replicate something to its fullest extent. It's always going to be something new. And I think that's really beautiful. Um, and it's so fun to challenge myself to find things like, because a frame is like easy, like, and I started with frames is just okay, you can just, it's a frame, you put stuff in the frame. But like I have this I have this right here, I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to turn it into something eventually. I don't even know what this is. I don't know if it's like a candle stick holder or like a plant pedestal, but I'm going to turn it into art. And I think that's really fun, is like being able to find these pieces. Like, what was this for? I don't even know what this is. I don't know what it was for. clearly nobody wanted it at this point. I found it at the thrift store for like, maybe $10. I think $10 for this. And so I get to turn it into something, that somebody's going to love and cherish in their home. And I think that's the best part of it. It's giving life to something new, and it's helping, landfills. It's helping the environment. I really try not to source from wholesalers or like, big box stores as much as possible. I do have to get like my glass domes and stuff from wholesalers, and that's just a part of the price that I have to pay as a consumer. But it makes me feel good about myself to be able to go out and use things that would otherwise end up in the trash or collect dust somewhere. And I just get to make something really unique that somebody's going to end up loving eventually. That's the best part. You're muted, Phil.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Why did I mute myself? I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
You're fine.
I just want to make sure I'm not interrupting.
No problem.
But yeah, you want to make sure that yeah, all that stuff like you've done, I've seen, like, because I know you do amazing stuff with that piece of art that you just showed me, and like the work that you've done, it has to be natural. I don't want any like references for any bestsellers or something, as you said before, because I was like, because I've seen so many artists fall into this trap. Okay, like they go to these people and check out all the stuff that this person is selling, but they're not taking the time of day to do what makes them feel that it's natural to them. I've seen so many people fall into that trap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big thing is, a lot of people want to get into it. I've met a lot of people who have been really interested in doing bug work and doing what I do. And that's great, but you really kind of have to have a love. You really have to have a love for the game. You have to have a love for going out and finding these things and having the vision for things. I have a lamp right now that I made into a piece, and when I found it, my husband was like, absolutely not. You're not going to bring that home. That's not going to sell. It's not going to do well. It hasn't sold, but if anybody's ever interested in going to see it, it's on my website. But its lampshade was tattered and it was like in really rough shape, and I restored it, and I absolutely love it. But like, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And my best friend, I'm going to shout her out right now. Her name is Talia. She's my best friend. She's a fiber artist. She can crochet, and she crocheted this lampshade for me. Look at this. This is crazy. I can't even believe she did this. But she crocheted that for me, and it's just like, you're never going to find anything like that. When I take it to markets, everybody's like, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a crocheted lampshade. I've never seen a lamp like that. And, I had to have the mind and the creativity and the drive to do it, and I think that's a big thing is people need to really love the game and love the hunt and have the ability to think outside the box.
Okay. That's great. Well, shoot, I might need to check out some of her work too.
Yeah, she's a great fiber artist. She does like a lot of fiber work. She knits and she crochets. She's great at it. But we did a collab for our lamp, and it gets so much attention. Everybody really loves it. It hasn't sold yet, but hopefully it will.
Okay. Well, shoot, I'll make sure to take a look at her stuff and see what she's done.
She's great.
So, let's see. Next part is, when you find a vintage frame, artifact, or antique object, what goes to your mind creatively? Do you instantly see the finished piece, or does the story slowly reveal itself as you work with it?
That's cool. I think that it depends. Sometimes I'll buy something and I'll hold on to a frame for like 7 months and just have no idea what to do with it, and then I'll randomly get an idea. That happened recently with a spider frame that I did. It's called Succinite on my Instagram. But I had this frame. It was just a frame. It had no glass. It didn't have no backing. It was just a frame. and I found it at an antique store and I loved it. It was beautiful, but I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I kept it for 7 months. I hung on to it for 7 months. And then I just one day I was talking to a friend of mine, and I think that's another thing is like people around me really inspire me sometimes. A friend of mine here at the campground did stained glass, and I had asked her if she had a panel of glass for this frame because I didn't have a piece of glass for it. And we kind of had a miscommunication, actually. She was like, oh, yeah. And she handed me a bunch of like colored glass, and I needed clear glass. I didn't need a colored glass. But then I was looking at these colored glasses and I was like, wow, these are cool. What if I do something with it for a background? And then it clicked and I was like, I know what I'm going to do with this frame. And I had a vision for it, and I did it, and it was awesome. And it's now in its new home. And that's awesome when I can hang on to something for a really long time. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And then it eventually clicked. And sometimes I see a frame and I'm like, immediately I know what to do with it. Or immediately I see like a candlestick base or whatever. And I'm like, I know what to do with it. And those are great moments too. If I don't have a vision for something, I usually just leave it alone until I do have a vision for it. I don't ever try to like super wing it, because then I feel like my work isn't as good if I'm just kind of winging it. So yeah, I always have to have like a little bit of a vision, at least a little bit, like either a color scheme or a bug that I want to use specifically for it. So a lot of the time I just have stuff like kind of sitting and waiting for its perfect combination.
Yeah, this is an old saying: quality over quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know all you artists out there, including well, not just you guys, certain tattoo artists, cosplayers. Like, there's this one group that I saw. They went to this convention, and they were dressed up as Whis and Bottles from Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
And from what from what I heard from them, it took them 2 years to make those cosplays perfect.
I'm sure they looked amazing.
2 years.
I'm sure it looked amazing.
Yes, and Damon Mills, the voice of Frieza, he got a picture with them because those were sick.
Yeah,
he went up to them and asked for a picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was like, that's insane.
Go ahead. I think that's the best. That's like the quality, I think, is really what's important. Like you said with cosplayers, like really taking the time and the detail is really what makes it pop.
Mm-hmm. Cosplayers, tattoo artists, all that stuff. Because let me tell you a little something. After when I started this whole thing, I deleted my gaming channel because it wasn't getting as much attention. I was just so focused on how many videos I could put on there instead of the quality of it. So I decided to leave my gaming channel because it's hard to navigate between two channels on YouTube, and it's really that difficult. So I decided to let's just put everything on one channel. So far it's working out so good because I started another game through. I started Super Mario Galaxy, by the way. The movie comes out in 1 month. I'm excited for that.
Me and my husband were talking about that. We're excited too.
Ooh, better go. So I started to play the Super Mario Galaxy games again. So I'll be ready and guess what? I put the games on my same page where my episodes are. So I'll be like, there we go. That way, like, you see, the key word of my brand, Feel Cool Productions, is production with everything.
No, for sure. Yeah, I feel the same way actually, because I started with because I have a blog too for my RV, in my RV life, and I started a page for Rarities on the Road, which is my blog for living out on the RV and like going places. And I it is hard. It's hard to run two channels. It's really hard to run two things. And so I've posted before, but I'm like, I'm going to post what I want to post on my art channel because I feel like it's more authentic to who I am as a person. And I think that people really like authenticity. And I think it tells my story better. And I just, I feel like it's better if I combine the two and then I don't have to focus separately on things because I then can focus all my time and energy into one thing.
So. Yeah. And I think with those things, like if you're going to be doing like a Hoge brand and navigating through multiple channels at once, you got to have a team. I don't have a team. I'm a one-person army. You're a one-person army too. Right. So I find ways to make things work.
Mhm.
So it's like I have to figure out how am I going to make this work. It took me some time to figure it out, and I've gotten used to being a one person show. Not like saying like I'm shutting everybody out, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, you really. Yeah, I mean, I have help, but I do the majority of it on my own, and so it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of effort, and it's a lot of juggling, and I love it. Like I said, I love the game, but it is a lot of work, and sometimes it's like I have to focus on one thing or another. Like I kind of took a little bit of a break from my art recently, just
Mhm.
because I've been focusing on traveling, and I've been focusing on my travels and where I've been, and it's just a lot of a juggling act. But um, I'm excited to go back to my art for a little bit. I have some shows coming up, and I'm ready to get some new pieces out for everybody. I think everybody's eager to see some new work from me. So.
Oh, you'll get back to it. I mean, I've seen some of the amazing work you've done. Listen, whatever shows you go to, you gotta make sure you have like previous art stuff ready. That
Mhm.
way you'd be like, oh shit, okay, let me just get the previous stuff for now, and then I can come up with a new idea when I get back at home.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've got a lot of stuff on the boards right now. Actually, when I get done talking with you, I'm gonna go crank some new stuff out, and I have more stuff I have to put on the boards in a couple of days. But I will have new stuff coming out here pretty soon.
I'll be checking in, okay? I'll be sharing your work.
Awesome.
So next every piece you create is carefully curated. As we discussed, it has to be carefully curated, quality over quantity, and
Mhm.
planned. When someone owns one of your works, what kind of story do you hope that piece tells?
Oh, okay, that's cool. So I think that what another thing that's super cool about what I do and how every piece is unique is that I think like when somebody buys from me, it really has to kind of speak to them. And my specific style varies from other people's styles. I have a lot of friends in the community that do the same thing I do, but they don't do it the same way, And so every art has to speak to its buyer, and it has to be able to relate to them in some way or another. I do a lot of, like I said, bright colors. I do lots of pinks, and I do lots of like bright blues. A lot of my pieces, when people buy from me, end up in nurseries, like their baby's nursery, and I think that's really, really, really awesome because they buy a piece for their baby in the idea that then their baby is going to have this really unique art piece, hopefully the rest of their life, and it grows with them, and I think that's really, really awesome. And then I have a couple of friends that are like that have bought from me that are collectors of mine, and they collect my pieces, and they have these really extravagant gallery walls that have my pieces mixed in. I think that's super cool. But I think that the art needs to really speak to a person one way or another, and the
Right?
style has to speak to somebody. And my art isn't for everybody. Like I said, I don't do a lot of dark
Mm,
pieces, and so like my work probably isn't going to end up in like some gothic person's house, most likely.
yeah.
But I kind of fit this niche inside the oddities community in and of itself, where it's like I'm very alternative. I kind of fit into this weird, quirky, alternative atmosphere, but I'm bright and I'm bubbly and I'm kind of more like 70s aesthetic, or like kind of girly, pinky. And I think that there's other people like me who fit into that niche, and I think that's where my style comes in for them and where my customer base comes from. And I
Mm,
always think it's so cool when I can see like people put stuff up on their walls of mine. I love it when people send me stuff. But yeah, a lot of my stuff ends up in nurseries. I think I would say that probably 65 to 70% of my work will end up in a baby nursery most of the time, which I think is really cool too.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I've seen so many people take, make sure that everything is perfect when they have to showcase it at certain expos and everything. And I can tell that so many artists do receive like a lot of messages and commissions for like this art. I wanted to take this art and check it out for myself because I really like the story you have behind it. Because sometimes, because I know some of you guys do posts on like social media and tell what this art is all about, like me in particular, like, I'm only like back when I was in college, I just be posting for attention and all that stuff and try to do that. But that wasn't like the whole reason why you do it. Thing is, going forward now, Hannah, I don't post things on my social media without context behind it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't really do a lot of posting, and like for my art, I'm inspired. The way that I'm inspired might be different than another person. A lot of my work, when I do work, especially if it's not a commission. If it's a commission, then obviously there's a story behind it that the client wants me to tell for them, right?
Yes.
And so I'll tell that story for them. For me, when I make new stuff, a lot of my stuff I'm inspired by is music. I'm really inspired by music. And I listen to all different kinds of genres. When I say that, I mean it. I am one of the types of person that listens to everything. It really depends on my mood, but I'll go anywhere from 60s to like today's rap. Like I love Kendrick Lamar, but then I also love like Johnny Cash, so it's very different. And it that really influences me. And so a lot of my work, like you'll see like I'll quote music or I'll name it after a song or a person, like a singer. And so that means something to me, but that piece might speak differently to somebody else. And I think that's really beautiful. And I love that portion of it because art means something different to everybody.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty much beautiful. So yeah, music can definitely get you thinking about something really spectacular when you're doing all these portraits and frames of the bugs you're doing. That helps too. Like I've seen some people listen to music and they're just in the zone and they just finish doing their artwork for the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always listening to art when I'm working. I have to have art if I'm working. There's no way around it. And so a lot of my stuff is influenced by music and different artists.
Well, hey, it seems to be working, so don't stop.
Thanks.
So, and next up, vintage store. Excuse me. Vintage restoration often feels like preserving history while creating something new. How do you balance honoring the past while still making the piece uniquely yours?
That's cool. So I love the frames. And so, like I said, music really influences me, but also the frames themselves really influence me. And the artifacts or whatever I use really influence me and how the art piece is going to go. I really try to play into the art of the frame itself when I do my work and complement the frame itself because I think that the frame is art in and of itself. It's beautiful. And the history of it is beautiful. And a lot of these frames are really super ornate. I have this piece just out for reference, but like the frame itself has like all these gildings on it. It's hand painted already. Like an artist already touched this frame before I touched it. And so preserving that is really important to me. And a lot of the time they come to me broken. I'll find them chipped or cracked or they've been painted over. And so restoring them is always my first preference. I can't always restore them back to their natural beauty, especially if they've been spray painted over. But I really try, so I'll fill them in with wood filler or try these little ornate bits that are like popping out or gesso, and so they're like a plaster. And so I'll try to recreate them if I can and reshape and resculpt if there's pieces missing. A lot of the time there is pieces missing. The glass is usually cracked, and so I'll work around or play into the cracks or scratches of the glass. And like I said, they're already art. And I'm just kind of adding onto another artist's work that, this artist is long past. And I think that's really beautiful is that I can preserve somebody else's work from, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, and make it into something beautiful again.
Yeah, that is powerful because so many people, we have to like honor like their memory and all the great work they've done. Like, and I think you managed to like keep like the old portraits and frames of the person who did this before and put it in the in the frame with the bugs. And I think that's really nice. I've seen so many people who do this kind of stuff to like because Let me give you one example. I interviewed a tattoo artist back in season 1 of this, and she was saying like we made a tattoo. She lives in my hometown. We're friends now. She's actually at Atlanta Tattoo Villains Arts Tattoo Festival right now.
Nice.
She made a tattoo with her and her cousin whose the grandmother passed away, and they wanted to make a tattoo that told all about her and something that's gonna like stay with them for a long time. And
That's
I think that was really, heartwarming for me.
It is. It's really beautiful to have the ability as artists to, preserve somebody's memory. And that's, how the frames are for me is like the other really cool thing about the frames, or it's mostly frames when I'll find these things, but like obviously like these frames come with portraits in them. A lot of the time there's portraits of somebody somewhere. A lot of time it's baby photos, marriages, or soldiers are usually the ones that I see the most of. And on the backs of these portraits there's usually written information about who that person is, and that is always so fun to see that. And obviously I don't use the portraits in my pieces frequently. I don't ever throw them out. I end up giving them to people because I feel weird throwing somebody's portrait out. Like, that feels so disrespectful to me. So I always I have a friend in Oregon. His name is Ron, and he actually has like a whole warehouse full of these convex frames. He collects them, and I give my portraits to him if I can. I'll save up a big stack and give it to him, and then he'll find frames that he has that don't have portraits in them, and he'll put them in there. Or like I had somebody who had like a kind of like haunted house that she wanted these like crazy Victorian portraits for, and I gave her a big stack of these portraits so they don't ever get, just trashed. Their memory lives on somewhere else, even though I can't use their memory. But then I can take the frames of, their home and the artists that made those frames and turn it into something with my own work and preserving the memory. And I think that's really cool.
Yes. Yes, that is pretty cool. I would say keep doing it. Like I know you got so many ideas in your head, and there's probably more frames out there for you to do. So
Yeah.
I say keep doing that.
I will. I love the frames. I've been doing lots and lots and lots of domes lately. Lots of like candlestick bases and wall sconces and stuff like that. But the frames really have my heart. I love the frames. I especially love working with really big Victorian frames. But lately I've been doing a lot of domes. It's a little bit easier to keep in the RV.
Well, like I said, you're making it work.
Making it work for sure.
So we got last 2 sections, and there's 3 questions in both of these sections.
Awesome.
So let's start with section 4: ethics, sustainability, and respect for nature.
Yep.
Now, you take great care to source your specimens ethically and sustainability, which is incredibly important in a field like this. Why was it essential for you to approach your work with that level of responsibility?
I think, the biggest thing, I guess I'm a nature girl at heart. I think that it's really important to preserve our planet and preserve nature and its beauty. Obviously, in our late stage capitalism and our current lives, that's getting harder and harder and harder to do. And it's a part of me that I think is really important. And I think it's important to a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people would appreciate or spend money on my work if I didn't feel that way about art and nature and preserving, our wild populations or having respect for the animals that I work with. For me to be able to make a living off of this, I really have to respect the specimens that I work with. And I like I said, they're beautiful, and I think that they need to be respected. And I think that our earth needs to be respected. And I think that most people who buy from me would feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I try really hard, like I said, to source from not taking from wild populations unless they've already passed on. Like I don't ever like try to capture a bug and then use it, because they need to be able to move on for the next generation and continue to preserve their ecosystems for our planet.
Right. And this goes back with a lot of nature stuff. Like, I've seen so many people lately in my area. They've been cutting down a lot of trees in my area. And because here's the thing, back then when I was, when I first moved here to Pooler, and it was a lot of stuff going around, like most of the stuff that you see right now, all this used to be trees.
Yep.
Now we got more apartments, more restaurants, stores, etc. And it's like I said, I understand we need to build more places, but what about the animals who want to like live and like I've seen so many deers at night
Yep.
trying to cook out the street. I've seen so many of them get killed on the side of the road, buzzards eating them. And see, now this got me like this because this made me think back to something that I saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. If you remember that movie, the theme of the movie was cruelty to animals.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's I think that it's like the other big thing too, for especially for bugs, people are like, what's the big deal? It's just a bug. But if you think about the life cycle of like animals and like the deer and stuff, like the deer eat the grass and the berries and the plants, and the bugs are pollinating those plants. So if you don't have these bugs, if you don't have the insects, and insects, I don't remember what the statistic is, but they take up like 3% of the world's like ground, or so. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't know, but they take up a majority of our world and we don't even see them. They're quite small, like ants, and ants are massive pollinators. If you didn't already know that, ants are massive pollinators. Flies, everybody hates flies. They are the most important pollinator we have. They're more important than bees are. And everybody's like, save the bees, but even moths and butterflies are pollinators, and they're also food sources for our other larger pollinators like bats. They're a massive food source for bats. So if you take away these bugs, for the purpose of art, right? If you're just taking these bugs away for the purpose of art, then you're taking away a bat's dinner, and that's affecting the life cycle. It's that butterfly effect. And it's really important that we think about these things because everybody wants to buy a bug and they don't really think about where that bug is coming from or how that affects the environment or the chain of command that affects in the life cycle that it affects. And like you said with the deer, we're displacing the deer, and obviously we need more space for us humans, but what does that look like and how does that disrupt the life cycle and the ecosystem around us? And so that's why I think it's so important for me to work with the bugs in the way that I do.
right, messing with nature is a dangerous thing, and it's something that we really need to continue paying attention to because somebody might mess it up. Because I've seen so many like posts. There's a friend of mine who lives in Florida. Her name is Allison Wood. She has blue hair, and she's been talking about how like somehow like the government has been in Florida's been messing up with all these like all these national parks, and that's really a dangerous thing to do. And I think they've been having a lot of protests over there, and so far it's working because the more they speak up about it, the more they can stop this from happening. Georgia doesn't have like those kind of problems so far. I mean, of course they're still building new things, but it's not as bad as Florida down there.
Yeah, I've heard that there's been a lot of issues with Florida, and I mean a lot of issues with national parks in general too. Like a lot of our national parks right now are threatened by the idea of oil drilling, especially like up in Montana and Wyoming. We're having, some really Yosemite too, some big concerns with using those parks as private equity and letting people buy up those parks to do, whatever they want with it. And a lot of that is oil drilling, and that's a big concern. And a lot of people are fighting to stop that right now and preserve the beauty. Those parks are there for a reason. Our private land is, for yours what to do with, but our public land is equally as important. And it's important to preserve it, even if there's even if you think that you can put an oil rig in Yellowstone, it's not going to do anything. They're there for a reason, and they're that last little bit of natural protection that we have for our wildlife and our ecosystems.
Mhm. It's like a dire situation, and Trad, there's another person. See, every time we talk about nature, I'm thinking back to all the friends I made who have connection with nature. There's another person that I talked to, and she's an environmental science person. Her name is Gracie Cat, and she lives in Virginia. And we've been talking about a lot of those things. Like, she's been to a lot of amazing forests and parks with her boyfriend. I think they're boyfriend, and they've been going to she's seen so many animals and work with those certain companies. And she really loves these kind of things because she kept posting, because we're actually supposed to be having. I actually talked to her about this because I was like, I do want to bring her back and talk, because I'm trying to do an environmental science panel with her and a few other friends who talk about these sort of things.
Cool.
So it's a work in progress, but we haven't messaged in a while. I probably do need a message back, but yeah,
I'll have to watch that one when you come out with it.
Sure thing. Listen, I try to bring people back so we can keep having discussions, because there's more discussions we could be having.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, all those stuff you see, we have to keep spreading awareness about it, because most of these people, like I said, everything that I've seen so far, this used to be forests, but now it's being chopped down to make room for apartments and more amazing places. Because now we have a Dave and Buster's here in Pooler.
Oh wow, that's yeah, and it's for human entertainment, but at what cost? I mean, another big one too is a big controversial topic right now is the AI data centers.
Yeah.
Taking over, and obviously we rely heavily on internet at this point. You are using the internet right now to connect, and it's a big part of our humanity at this point, but it's at what cost, and where do we draw the line? They here in New Mexico, they just I think that they put a grant in or approved for a giant meta AI data center in Los Lunas, which is an hour from here, and New Mexico is already in a severe water crisis, and AI is going to be using up a lot of water, and they're really concerned about what that usage is going to be for. It's a meta plant, and it's a concern for its civilians here in New Mexico, and what that's going to look like for us as humans, but also for our natural wildlife. So.
Well, I think the best course of action is to keep spreading awareness. I think the awareness is working because we have so many people who are turning down offers like that. Yeah. So if we keep raising alarms, they're going to hear us.
Yeah, hopefully so. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Next up, for listeners who might not know much about insect preservation, what are some common misconceptions people have about the art form?
A big one is that you're killing bugs for the art and you're wasting a bug's life. That's probably the biggest stigma that I hear about, is why would you kill that bug for art? And a lot of people don't realize that I don't kill the bugs for art. And that even when I buy from conservation farms, all of my bugs, even if they're not naturally passed and they're euthanized, they come from a conservation farm. Where they're farming these butterflies for educational purposes and also for their own ecosystems in that area. So they're doing breeding programs and then releasing to the native populations. And a lot of people are just you grabbed that bug and you killed that bug. How dare you? And it's not like that at all. That's the biggest misconception. All the bugs, everybody that I work with or that I'm friends with that do this type of work, really, really, really focus hard on their sustainability and their ethics. Like I said, I don't typically say that I'm an ethical artist because I do use bugs that are euthanized in some of my work. Some people do not. Some people, you will only work with naturally passed specimens and so on and so forth. but a lot of us say that we're sustainable artists because we don't take from those wild populations or endangered species. And so that's a big, big thing. Another misconception is probably that people think, especially with this kind of work, is like, wow, why so expensive for a bug? Like, why are you asking for this much money for, this art piece? And that's very fair. I think that obviously art is a privilege for a lot of people. It's not a necessity. And so I try really hard to keep my work as cheap as possible for people, so people of all walks of life can enjoy my work. But at the end of the day, art is a privilege, and it's important to realize too that the artist, especially when you have mixed media like I do, I have quite an overhead that I have to spend to collect these things. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I'll get into this and it's going to be super easy and it's going to be a way to make a quick buck. It's not. Like I said, do it for the love of the game. You're going to spend some money if you're wanting to get into this. It's not super cheap. It's not super affordable. If you love it because you love it, then you'll do it because you love it. But I wouldn't do it to try to make a quick buck on anything, because you're not going to be making a quick buck.
True, and true. This goes back to the pros and cons of artwork. Like you said, being an artist is a privilege, not a right.
Yep.
That's the main thing for everybody. Like, because listen, you got some artists, and listen, not all artists are good artists. You have some artists who will do bad stuff, and and they'll probably like get consequences and maybe lose benefits, and that's the way the cookie crumbles if you did that.
Mm-hmm.
But also you got to be in mind that everything that you're doing, you're trying to leave a mark on what you're trying to showcase for everybody to understand and really get to experience.
Right. Yeah, like art's very subjective, right? And something that's beautiful to somebody is not going to be beautiful for a different person. And some people will look at a painting that's listed for $10,000 and be like, no way in hell I'd ever pay for that. And then somebody would be like, oh my God, I love it, I need to have it in my home. So it's very subjective. And that's where it comes into, like, you need to love it for the love of the game. Because if you're an artist and you're trying to make money, I would say that most artists do not make a lot of money. You really kind of just have to, you do it because you love it and it's a passion of yours, and don't think that you're going to like make anything significant. I don't think that many artists do, or they don't until they're dead.
Yeah. See, that's Steven. Now it made me think. Like, listen, I've seen so many people who like to like do things just because they want to be like known or famous. Listen, I fell down through that rabbit hole once when I was in college, but then I had to take a step back and realize that's not who I am. I have to be like a love and passionate for it. Listen, and my mom told me this, back then. I think it was like when we were in North Carolina and we went to PF Chang's. She told me that, well, you were in Florida, I was pretty much, you had to mature down there. Like, listen, when I went there, I was like 19 to 23 years old. I'm 25 now, about to be 26 this year. So they told me I had to, grow up. I had to mature and learn things, how it operates. Like things now, doing more research these days. I'm taking the time of day to go read something. I'm trying to read. I'm more aware of my surroundings.
Yeah.
Because most people, in my, like, as young adults in our 20s, some people are not like that. I'm one of the good ones out there who likes to be aware and know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely different for everybody. Different people mature at different rates, and there's a lot of growth for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I tell me I'm an old soul, but I'm 26. I'm just a year older than you, and
yeah.
my life is so different than I would say most 26-year-olds at this point, but I have had way different life experiences. So life experiences really kind of mold and shape you for who you are.
Yeah. And if I'm going back to this, like I've seen so many people, content creators, who be going to like, because I think you've seen like all these people in like Los Angeles, California, they be going to all these movie premieres that I be seeing on social media. And I was like, I understand like if a person performing this movie, they have to go because they're trying to promote the movie through those movie premieres. But you have so many like content creators who talk about movie analysis and everything. But I was like, that's really like a lot of effort, and a lot of noise they're making. Like, once the movie is over, you're back to like, listen, I guarantee you, after the movie is over, you guys are back to your normal lives the next day. And I watched something that Josh Brolin, he's the voice of Thanos in Avengers. He was saying like, this profession in this day and age, 9 times out of 10, people want to figure out how to be famous. Whereas back in the day, it was all about paying your dues.
Right. Yeah.
So,
that's a big, social media, has like really kind of done that to people. I think everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to be famous. And it's not all that it's cracked up to be. I've been viral a couple times and, it's not, I'm just an everyday person. I'm just my
it's
old
not
self, it's
it
not,
doesn't
it's whatever.
yeah, if it's not fulfilling, then I'm not gonna keep doing it. Like, I've seen so many movie references, like from Cars, for example, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And Lightning was telling Doc, "Look at all those trophies," and he was like,
Yeah.
"You look." He said, "You look. All I see is a bunch of empty cups."
Yeah, exactly. It's not, it's not what life is about. Like it's
Mhm.
quite a rush. Let me tell you, it is the first time I went viral. Well, it was insane. I was like, holy crap, like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. Like that's insane. Like how many people are seeing my face right now? And it's really toxic, like social media, like because then you get like you want to chase it, right? And then I started like chasing it. And then I would get really upset if something on my Instagram only got, like 20 likes. And it's like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? Like I went from 4 million people and like hundreds of thousands of people liking it, and then I get like 20 likes. And it's like, what's wrong with me? And you can't look at it like that. And I think that really affects people's mental health too. And like
It
chasing,
does.
you can't chase it. You cannot chase it. You just have to you have to just keep living your life. It's not worth chasing.
Exactly.
It,
Like all the stuff I be posting, I just let y'all like I know it's me doing like full time, like it's me doing being an independent journalist. I just give out information to you guys and let y'all think for yourselves. Like I don't clash with anybody because it's exhausting. I was like, I'm not wasting my breath for anyone who doesn't want to educate themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna let you think for yourselves. I'm not gonna battle out in the comment section if you see where I'm going with this. But yes, everything that we said up to this point, just do it because you have a passion and love for the art. Don't do it because you just want to be known. Because listen, I guarantee you that after the day's over, I just want to go home and just relax.
I agree.
We're almost at any section, then we'll be at the finale. Okay, I know it's long, but we're making it work.
Hey, we're having a good time.
So now, number 17, your work exists at the intersection of art, nature, and preservation. Do you see your pieces as a way of helping people develop a deeper appreciation for the natural world?
I do. I really do. I think that there's a lot of people who are stigmatized around bugs. A lot of people have a fear of bugs, and I think that it really kind of helps brighten people's world to nature and bugs specifically. Like I said, a lot of people are like, ew, moths are ugly. And then they see this like Luna moth in their face and they're like, wow, I've never seen this before. How gorgeous. And it really kind of opens up their world a little bit more. And then like also, this is not something that I realized until much like probably just like maybe a year ago. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. So I grew up in an area that had a lot of nature. We had mountains and all different types of flora and fauna and animals and wildlife. And my like flora and fauna is so different than anything that I've ever seen in the desert. The desert's flora and fauna are so wildly different. And my sister-in-law, she had like never seen a pansy before, which is like a little flower. If you've never seen they're like usually in flower pots or whatever. But I had gifted her something that had a pansy in it, and she was like, "What kind of flower is this?" And I'm like, "You don't know what a pansy is?" And it's just there's so many people. Our world is so big that there's so many people that have never experienced something that I could possibly show them through my art. And I think that's so cool. And I think that really helps open people's world up, because how many people have seen a moth with a wingspan of like, 17 inches before? Like most people haven't. So it's really cool to be able to provide that to people.
Yeah, people just want to make sure they understand, because if I go up to a person and they talk about their artwork, I just want to sit down and just be like, "Hey, I never seen this piece before, but any chance you can educate me on it so I can have a better understanding."
Yeah, and I think a lot
Definitely.
of people will ask me questions about it too. Like, a lot of people have like, "I've never seen this bug before. What is it?" And I always love to nerd out and give people like bug facts about the specific thing that they're asking about, or flowers too. I'm a big flower nerd too. But I think that's the best part of my art, is that it really opens people up to new things that they haven't experienced before.
Of course, of course. And listen, I be telling people, when you go up to people, don't hesitate to ask questions. And that's
Mhm.
something that people have been telling me, it's okay, don't hesitate to ask. We all want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Like I know, like if I come up to you one of these days and I see a new piece of your artwork, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Hannah, can you tell me what this is all about, please, if you can?"
Absolutely. Yeah, for
So
sure. That's the best
yeah,
part, is learning from people too. Like you get to learn from people and you learn new information, and it's really beautiful.
yeah. And don't worry, I'll make sure to take some notes too.
All right.
So, all right, section 5, the finale.
All right.
Life as a traveling artist.
All right.
Now, you're not just an artist, you're a traveling artist living in a 31-foot motor home and exploring the country with your husband and your 2 dogs.
Mhm.
Now, what inspired that lifestyle and how has it changed the way you experience creativity?
Oh man, it's been quite a wild ride, let me tell you. I like I said, I was grinding for in the beginning of this podcast, I had mentioned that I was working and I was grinding and I didn't have any of my creativity, and life was just like kind of miserable. And it really was. My job was really grueling. And I made pretty decent money, and I had, I owned a house. I owned a house in the Pacific Northwest, and at what cost, though, is kind of what it came to, because I never saw my husband. Me and my husband got married in 2023. And from the time we got married until the time we left in April of 2025, we saw each other maybe twice a week. We worked opposite schedules, and we there's I-5, Interstate 5 passes through, and we take that every day. And I would be driving home from work at 7 in the morning, and he'd be driving to work, and we'd be on the phone together, and we'd wave to each other as we passed each other on the highway, because we literally never saw each other. My dogs were suffering. My dogs, never got any time outside of their home. They're super, super, super reactive from it. If you follow me, you'll know that my dogs are absolutely insane, and they have all of these horrible behaviors that we're trying to train out of them right now.
Mm,
And so, like Izzy's my little black and white one, and she's super afraid of people and dogs and cats and everything, like the world, just because she never got to have any outside time or like experience with those things. Because I was working all the time. I was literally just always working. And it got to the point where me and my husband Jack, we were just like, we can't do it anymore, but we are drowning in this debt. We have a mortgage, and we have car debt, and we have credit card debt, and like, what are we going to do? And so we saved up like as much money as we possibly could, and we paid off all our debts, and we sold our house, and we left it all behind. And it was absolutely terrifying. I can't believe that we did it. But I'm so happy we did it. My life is just like a complete 180 in every aspect now. and my creativity is back. And I think the biggest thing with that is that I get to experience life in so many different ways, and I have such a unique outlet right now where I get to meet so many walks of life from so many different areas, and that has really brightened up my view of the world. And I get to see things that I've never seen before. Like, I had never really spent time in the desert. Then I've spent the last, like 6-7 months in the desert. And it's so different than anything that I've ever experienced in my whole life. And it opened me up to a million different possibilities. And now, like, I loved scorpions, and I love to pin scorpions now that I've been in the desert. So it's been crazy. It's been wonderful. And I don't have any plans of stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, don't stop. This sounds fun. Don't stop. And it looks like you're enjoying because that's the best. I think that's also I was thinking that's probably like the best thing about living in an RV. You can pretty much travel anywhere. Like, home is where you stand.
Exactly. It is. Home is the RV, and if you don't like it, you can just pick up and go to the next spot, and that's really, really, really cool. We do have home base. Home base is in Nevada right now. Jack's parents are super awesome, and they have a spot for us whenever we need to rest our head in an actual home, in like an actual bed. So that's home base. But we go and see them. We were just there not too long ago, and we're taking a hiatus to go travel, and then we'll be back probably in the next couple of months, and then we'll leave again. And that's really awesome to have that privilege.
Okay. Well, shoot, I hope you guys will have a good time when you go over there.
We will. Yeah, it's always nice to go see family again and take a break from the road, but I love the road so far. It's been awesome.
There's one thing you should watch. It's on Disney Plus if you got it.
Okay.
It's called, I think you'll like it. It's called Cars on the Road with Lightning McQueen and Mater.
Okay, yeah, I should watch it. I love
Yeah.
Cars. Cars is such a sweet little what is it called? A sweet series? Is it a series?
Yes, it's a series, a franchise.
Franchise, yeah. I love it. I've seen all of them.
I think you'll like it.
Nice.
So, next up, traveling means constantly encountering new landscapes, antique shops, and communities. How does being on the road influence the materials you find and the art you create?
That's a big deal. Yeah, depending on where I am geographically, really depends on what I have access to. In Oregon, I could get antique frames really, really easy. These days, I'm out here in New Mexico, I can't find antique frames worth shit. And it's been interesting to like really push myself to find things on the road. I do get a lot of things from eBay if they're like in decent shape or a decent price, but a lot of things on eBay are not a decent price. And so it's really challenging me. That's why I've been doing like a lot of dome pieces lately, because that's all I can really find right now is like domes, and they fit a little bit better in the RV, like I said. But I can find like candlestick bases, and I can find wall sconces and stuff. So I've been doing a lot of those. Whereas in Oregon, I could find a lot of frames, so I was doing a lot of frames. And then when I get to the East Coast, I imagine I'll probably find a lot more frames. It's also really cool depending on the region I'm in. Like when I was in Vegas, a lot of the antique shops that I would encounter had like Vegas memorabilia, like old school stuff like showgirls and poker and that kind of thing. And that was really awesome to find those things. And I did some Vegas inspired Western pieces because of it. And just the people around, depending on the age demographic and the history. I know the East Coast is a lot bigger and richer in like old Victorian history and stuff. So I'm really excited to get over there. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in June. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time looking for frames because I think I'll be able to find a lot more in that area. So I'm always constantly kind of revising what I'm doing at the time, depending on what state I'm in.
And I almost muted myself again. Excuse me. Sorry. Like I said, I turned my mic off so I can let people speak. But yes, traveling, you get to see so many new faces and new places you've never been to before. Yeah. And that's something that again, every time when I go, I like to venture out into the city for a bit and see what new stuff I've seen. You never know who you might who or what you might run into out there.
Yeah. It's
And that's
fun.
really exciting. Like, shoot, like, see, now I'm excited. Like, when as soon as like later this year, when I do plan to travel out the country for a few weeks and see so many amazing places and meet so many people, it makes the adventure more or fun that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool to meet people from completely different demographics and like different walks of life and their life experiences. Like the little campsite I'm in right now too, in that RV life it's so cool. This is like the most fun part about it is you meet people that you'd never expect to meet anywhere else. I have I think we have like 6 or 7 people on the campground right now where I'm at. And like one person's from Chicago, one person's from Jersey, one person's from LA, one person's from Minnesota. And so everybody is like from all over the place. One person's from Philly. So it's like so cool to meet people and see these different areas that they come from and different cultures and like all meshed together. It's really fun. It's quite a vibe.
Well, hey, let's both keep doing that.
Yeah.
So, all right, last question.
Alrighty.
As you continue traveling, creating, and sharing your work across different places, what kind of legacy or impact do you hope Rivera Rarities leaves behind?
Oh, legacy. I I really want to I want to educate people on sustainability. I think that's a really big thing for me and my brand. Is I want people to fall in love with the old and forgotten like I did. And I want people to see the beauty in the artifacts that I use for what they are, and the bugs for what they are and who they were. And I just want to be a kind and loving and open-minded person in my travels. I think that the world right now, especially the United States, is really divided. And I think I struggle with that a lot. And I think social media has made it harder for us and has divided us. And I want to be kind and open-minded to all walks of life as much as I possibly can. Um and I just want people to love the old like I do.
Right. Of course. Definitely, of course. And guess what? You are a very sweet person after talking to you.
Oh, thank you. I try.
So, just keep being that best. Just keep being yourself. Keep being that best person, Hannah. Okay.
All right, I will.
Exactly. Always. Always.